Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Let me start off with a small apology. I did miss the round of 16 games in the kind of review of the World Cup so far. I was away for work, I was at a hotel, I couldn't get any signal, so I just couldn't get the video out. So apologies there. Obviously England had a great result with a penalty shootout win against Colombia, which was amazing. Such a great sort of way to go through, although we would like to beat them in normal time. And we could see that they equalised. To win on penalties is something to kind of beat that curse of what we've had over the last few years. I think really did them great, England, and I think that's kind of what's helped them get forward. But we'll look at the quarterfinals. We'll go with England last, so leave the best till last, as we say. So we started off with France against Uruguay. This one was a very easy game for France. Uruguay didn't really kind of put a lot into this one. They had no real bite. Obviously Cavani was missing, which really kind of hampered their attack with just Suarez on his own. As much as he's a great striker, I do think he needs to play with other players to kind of really get the best out of him, and France made this look relatively easy. Obviously there was a bit of a fluke goal with a Griezmann shot that kind of went through the goalkeeper's hands, but in all fairness, France deserved to go through. Obviously they are starting to look like the real sort of talent and unit we all thought they could be before the tournament, hence why I predicted them to probably win the tournament now. So they're looking really dangerous going through, and I think they're probably the favourites now after all some of the other big teams have already gone out. Then we had Belgium versus Brazil. Now this was a big game. This is obviously the game that England would have played if we had won the group, if we'd beaten Belgium or drawn with them in our last group game. And this had a lot of attention to it. Obviously Belgium ran away with it at the start, getting a 2-0 lead, which everyone was kind of shocked about. It's not shocking that Belgium won, is at that point how easy it looked for Belgium against a team like Brazil. None of their big stars really kind of came alive until they were 2-0 down. Then you could kind of see Belgium maybe sitting back a little bit more, and then Brazil going on the counter-attack. They did get the goal towards the end to make it 2-1 to kind of really set up this really tense, nervous finish. Obviously there was a moment in the penalty area where Neymar went down after a small touch, but as you've seen so far in this tournament, Neymar seems to go down with a gust of wind. The penalty wasn't given. I don't think it should have been. And then Belgium ran out right for winners, I think, in this one. I think they looked really good. Again, you can start to see them now really starting to bond and be this team of superstars, and they're starting to play as a team, and they look really dangerous. So the game between them and France in the semi-final, I think, is going to be really intriguing. It's really hard to call. As much as France look really good, they've not really wowed us. Obviously, they did in that game against Argentina. Defensively, they look terrible. Going forward, they look amazing. So it's a really hard one to call between Belgium and France for the who's going to get the final place in this one. Then we had on the Saturday evening game, which was Croatia versus Russia. The hosts probably got a lot further than probably what a lot of people maybe have thought they had done. I know before the tournament, a lot of their fans and their sort of home press were kind of writing them off. So it was one of the worst Russia teams ever. And to get to the quarter final, they've done really well, and I think they've done their country quite proud. In terms of the way they've played as well, they've played quite well in some games in this tournament, and they played well in this game. 1-0 at half time. There was a bit of back and forth during the first half. Not a lot of goal match action apart from the 2 goals, and then went to extra time, and then Croatia got 2-1 up, and we all thought it kind of looked like Croatia were going to see this one out. Russia were piling under pressure, and they got that late equaliser. I'm sure the whole of Russia just erupted at that point, sending the game into penalties, and there were some good penalties, there were some terrible penalties. The first Russian penalty was really bad. The guy was already crying before he took this spot kick, and just kind of looked like he chipped it into the centre of the goal, and it was terrible. And then I think it was their third penalty where Fernandez, a very Russian name, put it wide, and there were poor penalties really. Croatia only missed one, but the ones they did score, they looked fantastic. Rakitic and Modric again kind of marshalling their midfield, and obviously they've set up the game with England now, which is going to, those two are kind of their real weapons, and I think we can keep those two quiet. We could look for a good bit of success. Then moving on to England versus Sweden. England are in a semi-final of a World Cup for the first time in 28 years. Italian 90. Was not quite old enough to remember this tournament. What an achievement. Way beyond the expectations before the tournament. I said at the start, quarter-final I'll be happy with, as long as we play well, and we have done mostly, but to get to a semi-final, and how easy it was as well. Sweden didn't really pose much of a threat. There were some great saves that Pickford had to do, but only really kind of when we scored and then when we were 2-0 up that we were kind of Sweden piled on the pressure, which you expect them to do. But up to that point, it was easy for England. We were playing the ball in, we grew into the game. It started off a little bit nervously, but as you expect, it was probably a game where these two teams didn't expect maybe to be at this point, and maybe not expected the opposition they were facing. So you could see some of the nerves were there. But once the kind of game went on, war, and England kind of took control, especially once Harry Maguire scored from the corner to give us the lead, and from then England just kind of made it look easy. Sweden didn't really have much going for it, like I said, but Bickford made some great saves to keep us in the game, but they were few and far between, and I think England, even if they would have conceded, probably would have seen the game out and maybe even gone and score another goal if they needed to. Turns out they didn't, but yeah, England are in a World Cup semi-final. This is far beyond the expectations, and I do believe we can beat Croatia. Croatia have got a great midfield with Modric and Rakitic. Mandzukic up front can be a threat, but defensively I don't rate Croatia at all. Lovren at the back, he's always looked suspect for Liverpool, and I think it's something Harry Kane and Dele Alli and Lingard and everyone could open up and get the goals that we needed. We've looked quite good defensively the last couple of games. I know we did the late goal against Colombia, but other than that, we kind of bossed the game around. It just kind of seemed to be a bit of a fluke header and that went in. So yeah, I'm very much on the bandwagon of it's coming home. I do believe that we could get to a World Cup final. Will we win the final? We'll have to wait to see when we play. France are going to be a tough opponent if we get France, who I think probably will just edge out Belgium. And also we played Belgium already, but it was two reserve teams. Obviously it'd be very different with both make the full strength squads going against each other. It'd be a different test. I don't, you can write that other game off against Belgium. Doesn't mean anything. There's no psychological edge to that going into the final, if it is them in the final or the third place playoff. To be fair, it's a game that no one really cares about unless you're in it. So if England are in it, it's going to be a game we're going to care about. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Are England going to go on to the final? Are they going to win the tournament? Is football coming home at last after over 50 years of just misery and torture through these tournaments? Let me know. Like, comment, subscribe. Anyway, I will see you after Wednesday for the semi-finals and hopefully England are in a World Cup final. Thanks very much for watching. See you later. Bye.